Morning. Today we're going to interview Miss Emma Murphy. Miss Emma Murphy has been traveled all around the world and for 3 years now has been teaching, and she will tell us now some of her great experiences. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have Miss Emma Murphy. Hi, Miss Emma.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for having me today.
It's my pleasure. So I would love to hear, how was your teaching in Africa?
My teaching in Africa was a challenge, partially because it was my first time teaching, and I just really had to get used to a lot of the different cultural experiences here. In Mexico, it's a little bit different because I think a lot of the values that we have, at least I have as a person, co-align with Mexican people's values. But in Africa, it was definitely a lot different. A lot of times people were concerned with money, and they would do things in order to get money, right? And so I think the biggest challenge that I faced was realizing that my problems were not at all like their problems. Their problems were more so based on getting food, having shelter for the night, not, like being able to afford a meal for their family. And
so there were their problems are more like kind of extreme than what we have.
Yes, and so I think that for me, when they came to school and they were concerned about eating a meal and they couldn't focus on studying, I didn't understand that at first because I had never been faced with that challenge of, these people are more concerned about food than they are with studying. Whereas at least here in Mexico, we're able to focus, able to come in a full stomach, focus on school, and then do their work, and then go home and eat a meal. And at the school that I was teaching at the end of the day, we had to feed them a meal. And so, we fed them a sandwich and an apple, and that might have been the only meal that they had the whole day. And so for me as a teacher, that was hard to put into perspective. Okay, they're not going to care about, World War II if they can't even eat or they're hungry, and so just realizing those priorities, it was much different than here, and I learned a lot of lessons from those people.
So if all your situations were different, I imagine there was some part of discrimination.
There was a huge part of discrimination, and as you may know, the apartheid during the 1990s existed. It was a very oppressive regime in South Africa, and there are definitely still the effects of that facing us today, or at least in South Africa there was. I had a couple of terrible experiences, where I was personally discriminated against because I was maybe eating at a restaurant where it was a predominantly black community. And so, realizing that although South Africa has come a long way in their progression, the discrimination, just like, in the United States, there's the North and the South, and there's still some discrimination that exists here. And in every country there's discrimination, but it was very obvious in South Africa just because of the skin color. And so I think that in and of itself was a different challenge for me. But yeah.
But even though many things had happened to you, do you like your job?
Yeah, I did like my job. I think it was a very humbling experience for me there, teaching and realizing the problems that face different areas in the world. But I do like my job, but it definitely made me realize that I am better suited for a community that has those resources, that is able to eat food, is able to appreciate their education, and really wants to make advances in education. And so for me, learning that lesson that I'm better suited for a community that has those resources was a good lesson for my professional development, because I don't want to teach in a place that's very, very underprivileged, because I think not that I don't want to, it's just I'm better suited for other.
You don't feel like you fit in, right?
Exactly, and it's hard for me to really connect with those communities in a way that I think that I can be effective. So, yeah.
And how is Querétaro, your experience here, compared to Africa, or when even you lived in the U.S.?
I would say it's kind of a cross between, the extremes that I was teaching in Africa, and then also the extremes that I was teaching in the U.S. as well. It's definitely a cross between those two, but overall the people are very welcoming here, and I love the community. Everything about this place is awesome.
So you have a very good experience here.
So far, so good.
Yes. and you're always eating too.
Yes, I am always eating, and the food is great. So yes.
And so, overall, do you like teaching, like the differences, and even though the problems and everything, like getting to kind of connect with the kids and everything?
Yeah, I think that the students here are the easiest to connect with that I've worked with. They're very open and welcoming, and ask me questions and want to know about me, and it's a very open community here, and I think that's made me love Mexico so much. Is just dealing with the students and just how really awesome they are. I think that this community is really different in that element. So, yeah.
And also, like, have you ever felt like you don't fit in here in Querétaro, or no?
The only thing that makes me feel that way is my language barrier. Like not being able to fully communicate with people that I want to communicate. And then that puts a barrier between me and many Mexicans, right? Because I want to get to know them, but then there's this barrier between me where I really can't get to know them because of my language. And so I think that's why the students inspire me a lot, is because they're bilingual. And I feel like that is an inspiration for me to really go and like learn Spanish in my own personal life, so I can, you know, have those experiences that the students
Was
have.
it also like any difference in the languages in Africa, or?
Oh yeah. I mean, they were using clicks, and it was a totally different language that, at least Spanish, I'm familiar with. So yeah.
And also, do you like teaching in high school or middle school?
High school is I would prefer to be in high school, but for now, I love the energy of the middle schoolers. 8th grade is the lowest I think I will go. I don't think I'll go any lower than 8th grade. They're fun. I love them, but I like to kind of be at that higher level. So.
You're more connected with the higher levels?
Yeah, I feel like I can connect as a person more with older students.
Because you're closer to age.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thanks, Maho.